Hello there guys, welcome back to tutorial number 10 about developing a game using LibGDX. Okay, so in the previous video you saw how we can create a path for our spaceships and how they can fly, right? So I said that we will create something like a stage so that we can specify a number of waves, of enemy waves, and you have to clear all the enemy waves in order to finish a single stage. Now before I do that, I will do a number of changes. First, I noticed that when I run this on Android, the resolution I chose for this display, which is 800 by 600 is or 800 by 500, I think. Yeah. When it gets scaled up on Android devices, it doesn't look good. However, one of the things that I thought of, maybe I will increase the resolution here, make it 1024 by 768, something like that, in order to get a high resolution version. Now if the display is larger than the Android device, what should happen is that it gets scaled down, right? So now we have more space for our game to be played. Yeah, so this is the whole point. Now as for the background, I made it, I think it's already 800, so I need to increase that, the background. So to do that, I will go to the folder of the game. Let me go to D, let me go to TMP, G01 Android assets, and now let me see, open with GIMP. Yeah, come on. Yeah, well, while this one's working, it will take a while, so while this one's loading and doing stuff. Now, so we just changed the two numbers here, this one, and now we have higher resolution, right? I think this should be 1280 to get a good aspect ratio that is almost compatible with mobile phones. So let me see if I make it 1280. Just a second. I think this will be much better. Yeah, it will be very similar to a mobile phone. So let me get to GIMP now. It's loading. Come on, you can do it. Okay, there you go. So all I have to do is go to image and scale it, and I won't make it a uniform scaling here. As for the width, it's gonna be 1280, something like that. And yeah, I will scale that. Okay, so now the image got scaled, and I will overwrite this one. Very nice. Close GIMP, discard changes. As for the assets, the Android project, where's the assets? I'll just try to click that and hit synchronize assets, and now when I run this one, there you go. So now this one, on all the screen. Now this is the first thing. The second thing, or the second problem I'm having, is that I'm not sure about the rotation or the way that the sprite is being plotted, right? So what needs to happen is the following. I'll make a very simple test. Where is the three-headed spaceship? Okay, there you go. So I have this one, so I will just make a copy of it. Okay, so I'll make this one here. Actually, make it like that. It's 0.5, 0.5, right? And yeah, so let me run this and see what happens. Okay. Okay, so now this is not very clear. This is not what I need right now. So one other thing I will do, just indulge me please. I'll make one sprite only here. Okay, I have very good reason for that. And where's that? Well, instead of using one, where is it? Where's the part where we create the sprites? Okay, this is going to be one. So here, this is going to be sh.length, so that sh.length, so that when I change the number of sprites, you know, the test part will work accordingly. And this is going to be also sh.length. There you go. And what do we have? You know, okay, sh.length, and we are under these. Okay, so let me check one last thing here. So when I set this one, what is the speed, absolute speed? I will make it 10. Okay, so let me see. Instead of this one, I'll make it 10 semicolon. And the reason for that is that I want to see what happens when the spaceship gets rotated. Okay. Okay, maybe I need to increase the speed a little. I'm sorry. Maybe not 10, make it 50. Okay. And the reason for that, as I told you, I want to see, you know, where things are being rotated exactly. So now our spaceship should be in the middle of the screen, if I'm not mistaken. And the enemy spaceship, where is it? Okay, so now you can see the center for this spaceship is not in its middle. It is moving around a single point. So what that means is that when we render the spaceship, we need to fix something, which is the render location. In order to fix that, we have what? We have to draw at the location x minus spaceship texture dot get width and divide this by 2. Okay. Now this shifts the spaceship to the left by half the distance, so that is at the accurate location. And the same goes for the y. The y should we subtract, right? Yes. So we subtract spaceship texture get height, get region height divided by 2. So if I'm not mistaken, now when we are running this, the spaceship should start rotating around itself. It will be stationary, but rotates around itself. And this is how it should behave. So let's see. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, I suppose. Let me see. So texture, the x location minus this one, divide by 2, the y location. The origin x. Okay, I wonder if I should, you know, this should be the, not sure. Should I put 0 here? Okay, so before I mess things here, I'll just make a copy and of the original function call, and now I will ruin everything here. The origin x, I'll place a 0. Okay, let us see. I think this will do it. I suppose the origin x, origin y, right with an, okay, that's it. So let's see. Let me stop this and run this again. Hopefully this will do the trick. I think not. I think it was working correctly and I did a mistake. Probably. Yeah, as you can see, yeah, it was working right the first time. Sometimes I get confused, so I'm sorry about that. So, anyway. Oh, I have a better thing here. I have something that is way much better. What am I gonna do is, instead of moving the spaceship, I want to see where it gets rendered, right? So I will set the speed to 0, okay? And what am I gonna do here? I will just say sh of I dot x equals 0 and sh of I dot y equals 0. And the reason for that, if it is at location 0, 0 and the rotation centers and in the middle, I should see a quarter of the spaceship. Okay, it should be at one of the corners. Right, and I set the speed to 0, so you know it won't move. Okay, so here, okay, so this is not very good. So what am I going to do? So my theory, I think, was right. So let me go to sprites here. Now, where is the rotation part? Well, oh, instead of that. No. Okay. So here, all I have to do before rendering anything, I will just say sh of 0 dot angle equals 0. So this will cancel all the rotation and any update there is. So now let me see where the spaceship is being rendered. Okay, so obviously this is not what I expected. What should happen, this center should be here. So I should subtract half the width and half the height. So in order to do that, let's go here. This will be, so this is the original. So this one, I subtract half the width and also half the height. And as for the origin, it will be spaceship texture get width over 2 and spaceship texture get height over 2. Okay, so this should be it. Let's see. Okay, so this is the first quarter, right? So now let's change the location in our test. So instead of this, let's see where is the first location. So now this is gonna be virtual width, so it should go to the other side, right? Okay, very good. Next, I will need to make sure this is virtual height, and let me run this now. Okay, so it's working well. Okay, so now it's working well. All I had to do is just subtract the half the width, half the height, so that we get the accurate center when we are rendering our spaceship. Okay, so this is the first one, and I have to cancel the part where I, change the angle here. Okay, that's it. Now the next thing that we want to do is to do the same check on our spaceship. So the player spaceship, where is the part where we render things under sprite. So we are rendering this, and we are gonna subtract, right, spaceship texture get region width divided by 2, and also we subtract spaceship texture dot get region height and divide by 2, and so this will be at its accurate location. And one last thing, if we go back here and restore the speed, where is the speed here? So instead of 10, I will make this 50 or something like that. Oh, you know what? Make the speed to its original value. Not much of a difference will appear there, but now the center for each spaceship sprite is being accurate. There is nothing wrong there. They are all at their accurate locations. Okay, now let me go to our spaceship, and now I will just, you know, restore these values to its original things, and instead of 0.9 make it 0.8, 0.8, there's gonna be 0.8, 0.8 as well, 0.8, come on, oops, 0.8, there you go. I want it to be something like that, minus 0.5, something like that. Okay, so this is the first one. Let me go here, restore things the way they were. This is the speed, right? So here I will create 31 of these. That's it, and let me run this game again. And okay, so you can see now, yeah, not much of a difference appeared here, but now the center is accurate. Okay, and there is no problem with that, not like before. Like before there was a problem with the center. Now we solved this issue. Okay, and now since this one has been solved, let us also check. Okay, let us now work on the scenario for a single stage. Now, first we need to understand the idea of how to make attack waves come to the player. Well, you'll have a number of sprites, different types of sprites, and what should happen, of course, you don't, you know, send all the sprites at once, right? You don't send all the enemies. You send them in small groups and expect the player to kill them, or maybe avoid them if you want. Okay, so in order to do that, all you have to do, which is something very simple, is set a timer. You will have all the sprites available and they will all be disabled, but there will be a timer, and this timer starts calculating, and for example after 10 seconds the sprites marked with a timer below 10 will be activated. After 20 seconds the sprites below 20 will get activated, and so on. So what that means that we will have to add a few properties to our sprites, and this will help us, you know, rendering and doing some stuff. So here let's go to sprite, and let's go to this one here. So just say public boolean enabled. Okay, so this indicates that if this sprite is being enabled or not. So if it is not enabled, you will not activate the sprite, right? Also, you'll just say public I think it was long. Well, I'm gonna make it an integer. Okay, time, enabled time, semicolon. So we added two members, the enabled and enabled time. So what we need to do, okay, let's go to our game here, right? So now what am I going to do is the following. I'll just say sh of I dot enabled enabled equal false, so all the sprite will be disabled. By the way, let me just add this one. This is gonna be y plus virtual height. Okay, sorry. So all the sprites will be disabled, but they will appear. The first one will appear after 1 second, the second one will appear after 2 seconds, then third after 3 seconds, and so on. So now the enabled time equals I plus 1. Okay, so the first one is going to appear after, since the first one has index 0, so 1 means 1 second. I'm assuming that the number here represents a second. Okay, and the second one will have number 2, 3, and 4 up to 30. Okay, so yeah, and yeah, so we have these. Now let's go to our render part. So we will modify this update by the following condition. Now I'll just say if sh of I dot enabled. Okay, so if the sprite is being enabled, then update it. Okay, also when we want to render the sprite, so fsh of I dot enabled, at that point perform a rendering for the sprite. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is to check if the sprite is being disabled and its timer is, its time is now, then well, we should obviously activate it. So for this we will need another variable, public static long. I will not long, I'll make this as a float. I will call this what? I'm gonna call it stage timer, semicolon. So now the stage timer here, when we are starting the game, stage timer equals 0. Okay, so now when we are rendering, all I have to do is the following: stage timer plus equals time difference. Okay, so the time difference here is the new time minus old time, of course, right? So this is the time difference, and now I will loop on the sprites, searching for the ones that are being disabled to activate them. Now for int I equals 0 and I is more than sh dot length and I plus plus. Now if sh of I dot enable time, multiply this by 1000 because we are working in milliseconds, is smaller than the stage timer. Okay, in other words, the time spent in the game is larger than the time the time limit for the sprite, so we need to enable it. So sh of I dot enabled equals true. And one last thing I need to add, sorry, fsh of I dot enabled if not. So if the sprite is not enabled yet, and its timer, and its timeout value, is up, so just enable it. So I have these, and now when we run the game, what happens is that we should see the spaceships appear one after another. Of course, not much of a difference there, but okay, so you can see now this is the time. This is the time span that we set. All right, so now we can control this actually. Right, so instead let me go to the sprite part. Instead of integer, I'll make this a float. Okay, let me go to the game here and see what's the value. Okay, so here I'm gonna say, oh, there's one other thing here. I'll make all the sprites appear at exactly the same location. All right, so here virtual height plus, yeah, I will remove the multiply. So now all the sprites will be one on top one of another, one on top of the other, right? So now all I have to do is just setting the timer, and now the previous distance that between the sprites will disappear. You'll see. Just give it a second, please. Okay. So you can see now. What am I gonna do is, well, I will make this. I'll multiply this by 0.5 float. Okay, so there will be half a second between each spaceship and another. The activation now is smaller, right? So I reduced the activation time for the sprites, and as a result I get, these sprites closer to one another. Now I will, reduce the activation time even more, and you will see the sprites on top one on another. You can see, right? So now this looks like a snake, right? It looks like a snake that's moving from here to there, and actually what's happening is that they are all on top of each other, and they give this strange impression, right? So now we set the timer. Now the last thing that we need to do, now we almost finished this stage. However, the last thing that we need to address and solve, not the last thing, there are many other things, we will take them when they come, is to create some kind of a file that we tell our game what to do, what the waves will be and the times. Here right now, setting the timer like this, X and Y and the paths in this technique is kind of, inconvenient. So it will be much better if we could create a single file that is readable, easy to understand, where we can, write, for example, the spaceship type there, the X and Y, when the spaceship appear, its speed and direction, and some other stuff, maybe the algorithm of motion itself, and see what happens. Okay, so for this reason, I think it will be better if we work on that in a new tutorial other than this one. Okay, just wanted to fix a few things here and just showing you what happens here. So now this is actually you could say that this is about 25% of the work. We finished that for creating a stage. So all we have is just set things for the paths and stuff like that. Also specify the timer, and you already have a scenario for your spaceships and for your enemies. Okay, so in the next video tutorial we will continue things. Now the last thing I want to check before I end this session is I just increased the size of this, so let me see how it looks like on Android. Okay, just quickly making sure that it is acceptable. Oops. Okay, let me move this one here, move this one here, good. Yeah. So you can see here there are a few jumps in these parts, and I suppose that these jumps happen because the render method, when get called, it doesn't get called at regular intervals per se, and this might be what's causing the problem here. So I'll check this later on and see how to address the issue if I could, but for now, we are just trying to finish things using the simplest possible technique. Okay, so now let's check the emulator. So here now in the emulator, the game looks, I think, much better. Don't you think so? Yes. Yeah, I think this is it. The game here looks way much better than before. And yeah, as for the spaces and strange segments, I think these are due to rounding errors and stuff like that. Okay then, that's good, no problem. So that's all for today. Tomorrow, hopefully, we will finish working on the scenario file or stage file, and we'll see how this goes. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Bye bye.